It would appear we're having some glitches tonight. So the show opening didn't work. We're 25 seconds in, and I've looked at the camera and said nothing. So that is a classic start. Proud to be a part of that one. Anyway, so we will try the intro because the T-Bags intro is just solid gold. So we're going to go for it anyway. But welcome tonight to Wanderings and Wool Gathering, episode 145. 144 of these have started much better. And tonight on the episode, we will be reviewing Atum from Smashing Pumpkins. We've been talking about this thing now for months, and finally, the whole thing is out. I am super excited. Spoiler alert, I loved it, and really looking forward to that. And I have two guys on the show with me tonight to discuss it, and they are none other than Metalhead Mundy. Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
Well, there he is. Everything seems a bit laggy tonight, and we only got a portion of the Metalhead Mundy theme song.
So it's coming through. Everything's coming through on my end. I don't know what's going on there, but I heard everything.
I think it's time to wipe the computer and start over. Let's say a little prayer for the T-Bags entrance. And joining us also is none other than T-Bags.
Swinging deep into the valleys of Liptonia.
No, it was playing.
Swinging deep into the valleys of Liptonia.
Playing again? Nope.
Able to plunge from high altitudes, only to land with a gentle splat.
That's nasty.
Receiving only the finest education from his instructor, Earl Grey. It's T-Bags, too hot for TV.
Hey guys.
Guys, hot. How hot is he? Too hot for television.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of what a gentle splat is?
No. I'm trying
not whatever that sound is on that video.
No.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'm just going to pretend everything's working because apparently it's working on your end, just not on mine. So
yeah, I'm seeing everything too, just like Monday.
Yeah. That is awesome. And before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, The Pressing Issue. Let The Pressing Issue take care of your comics with their expert cleaning and pressing services. Whether it's a basic dry clean and press of a wrinkled cover, stains removed, or maybe whitening a dingy cover, The Pressing Issue is the place to send your books for expert care and affordable prices. Find them on Facebook and look for the familiar red and white logo held up by Mr. Mundy on the screen. The Pressing Issue. They are awesome. Welcome, gentlemen.
Trying to do some space work there.
I said it
did good, Monday.
Actually. Yeah. You're hired.
Yeah.
That will give you a 100% increase in your pay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Figure out where I'm going to spend all that.
Yeah.
Was it a space theme based on our album review?
Yes. Yes. So, Mr. Mundy, I think you did something special yesterday. Would you like to share?
I did. My wife Lacey and I stayed out late last night. Actually, we got home around 11, so it wasn't that bad. Turns out Billy Idol's old too, so he wanted to go to bed at a decent hour. So, yeah, we went to Clues Hall down at Butler University in Indianapolis and saw Mr. Billy Idol. He's put out a couple of EPs recently. I think we talked about one, didn't we? The Cage one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's touring and he's got Steve Stevens with him and Killer Band with him. They were all great. And what a show. That dude is 67 years old and he is still kicking ass. So good.
Did they have a real piano on stage or they have keyboards?
Keyboards.
Yeah, I figured, but I don't know.
Yeah. Two guitar players, bass, drums, keys, and Billy. That was it. But man, they were awesome. They played. I was surprised they played like 3 new songs, I think.
Wow.
So, and they were great.
Were people into the new songs?
Not as much as the hits. that's how it's always going to go.
Oh yeah.
People,
What did they open with?
anytime you go see anyone, oh, we're going to play one of the new songs, that's people go grab a beer or whatever.
Yeah. What did he open with?
Oh man, you know what? I don't remember. I want to say it was Dancing with Myself, actually,
Okay.
but I can't. I may be wrong about that. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that it was a big hit that he opened with. I was like,
Right.
ooh, right out the gate. All right.
Did he close with like White Wedding or?
He did White Wedding. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Makes
They
sense.
went off and they came back and did like a 2 or 3 song encore, and yeah, he closed with White Wedding.
Nice.
Yeah. So
They played. Oh, go ahead.
no, I saw him 40 years ago. So you just saw him. So Tony, in 40 years, you need to see that tour so that we can round it out.
I'm sure we'll have holographs and things. So
When
just a
he's
matter of will I be
107
here?
years old,
That's right. Take your shirt off.
which he still does. So
Well, if he can, right?
he's in shape, man. The dude, he looks great. He performed with like a button-up shirt hanging open, and then he like kind of took his t-shirt off as he was leaving stage and like threw it out in the crowd. But yeah,
That's,
he's holding up well.
That's my same approach on Casual Fridays at work.
As you're
Do you
walking
put a
out
gold
the
chain
door.
on too?
Oh, I'm Italian. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. And a horn.
Yeah. A tracksuit. Yeah.
Those are Russians.
Okay.
He played a lot of my favorites, like "Flesh for Fantasy." I love
Mhm.
that song. They played that. "Eyes Without a Face" was awesome. That guitar break in that song, man, it just sounded real thick and lush. And Steve was on point all night. Dude. I mean, he's not pretty, but he's still trying. Rebel Yell was an amazing sing-along. That was just crazy. And then, like I say, he closed with White Wedding, which was another big sing-along track.
Mhm.
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
Sounds
very
cool.
cool.
the opener was pretty impressive. I had never heard of them. It was Kelsey Carter and the Heroines.
Okay.
And yeah, she was pretty awesome. So I came home. Well, today I was checking out her stuff a lot, and she's got their second album is coming out Friday, like here in a few days. So I think we're talking about covering that on the show. So looking forward to that. I really dig her. Her voice is a little different, and their vibe as a band is kind of all over the place. Little rock, little pop, hard, soft, kind of whole spectrum.
Yeah, that's really cool.
We'll have to check
I'm
'em
looking
out.
forward to that when you give us the preview, and that's what your preview is. That's cool because
Yeah.
you don't want to listen to everything that sounds the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm in. All right. Well, cool show. T-Bags, what's up?
I mean, speaking of rebels, we're about halfway through the Tupac documentary that's on Hulu, and it is fantastic. I know, Steve, off the air, you said you'd watched a couple episodes already, and
Mm-hmm.
it's such a good weaving of stories and why he, where he came up from and all the twists and turns of his life. But the interesting point to me is that it's directed by one of the Hughes brothers that he had a really violent confrontation with, midway through his career. And so I don't know if you've made it to that episode, Steve, but at one point the cameras kind of get turned around on him as the director, and he talks for a little bit.
I remember that because I loved Menace to Society, and
Yes,
that was where he was fired on and got in the fist fight
Yeah.
with one of the brothers. So
exactly.
yeah.
But I'm halfway through it. I mean, obviously we know how it ends, and it makes me. I was such a big Tupac fan and still am, but and even on the bandwagon of I don't know if he's dead, for
yeah.
5 or 10 years, but it makes me miss knowing that the trajectory that he was on was stopped short, and love to see where he is where he would be today with today's technology and autonomy, and kind of can do what he wanted, which is where he was headed. So, but definitely a talent that was cut short, and but the documentary I think does it justice. And there's a lot of times where a documentary just has the cousin of an aunt of or whatever, you know. And so you've got Dre, you've got Snoop Dogg, you've got hit Tupac's aunt, and several people.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson. It's super valid. So, you know, even Jen's watching it, and she's a mild Tupac fan, but she's really interested in it as a story. So, highly recommended so far.
Yeah, and historically speaking, the history, especially with the Black Panthers and the scene where the guy says, "I thought you were going to arm me," and he gave him a bunch of books. He's like, "I did." I mean, how cool was that? And I was like, we were kind of blown away by the 17-year-old Tupac at a San Francisco performing arts school, and how articulate he was, and the line that really kind of like, oh my gosh, for us was talking about how they were poor all the time and they couldn't stop being poor because his mom's ideals got in the way. And I thought that was pretty cool, that her mission and what she was about was more important than money. So, lots of cool things in that documentary.
Makes me wish I had Hulu.
Yeah, we bought.
I don't know if we can share logins, but
3. Yeah, I don't think you can anymore. But yeah, it was what ESPN, Disney, and Hulu together, and it's not much. It's less than Netflix. All 3 of them together.
I saw an
article. I'll give you my logon right here, Jeremy.
I saw an article earlier that said something about Disney Plus and Hulu are pretty much going to have the same content pretty soon. It'll still be separate services, but they're going to have like pretty much the same content. So hopefully I'll be able to see some of this stuff.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Great.
All right.
What about you, Stevie?
No, I'm with you. That was it. That was the old Disney is fully absorbing Hulu under one app.
Yeah.
Somebody just posted. Yeah. Thank you very much. And listener, watcher on Facebook, are you watching the Tupac documentary?
And while we wait for that answer, you could just Disney is...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. You could just do Disney is fully absorbing and then just anything.
Yeah. The world.
Yeah.
In our world, that's like Galactus. Right, Jeremy?
Yeah, right.
The eater of worlds. I will say before we get started that the NHL draft lottery happened a couple of nights ago, and the Chicago Blackhawks had the 3rd best chance to get the number 1 pick and get Connor Bedard, the generational talent. He will turn the franchise, and basically it was an 11% chance, and it came down to the final. They made it to the final 2, and I'm on the couch. I'm ready to roll. And he turns the card over, Chicago Blackhawks. I exploded off the couch.
Yes.
The next 15 years are going to be amazing. The kid's 17 years old, and he's already one of the best players in the world. So
that's great.
It took us a few hours, but we did buy 5 tickets to the United Center next year in the 100 section. We are ready to roll.
Yeah. And hockey players, unlike NBA players, don't rest, you know. So you'll get to see him play. I don't know if you guys have seen that with the NBA. Like, they'll sit
the management
games.
I'm over the management in all sports baseball. It hasn't extended anybody's career pitching. And in fact, I don't know, maybe it does more damage to pull them out in the 5th inning every stinking time they pitch, but it drives me crazy. So, anywho,
anyway,
are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yay, sports ball.
It's sports puck.
That's right.
Nice try. It's
frozen. Umbrella. It's an umbrella comment.
You shut your face. It's Connor Bedard. All right. We'll squash my dreams. And this album review tonight is brought to you by 4411 Creative Agency. The good folks over at 4411 provide custom marketing and flawless execution. You know what their middle name is?
Creative.
It is Creative. It's funny you would know that. So head over to 4411creative.com to find out more. Thank you for sponsoring the show. And it's time, gentlemen. 33 songs. I am going to spare our listeners. We are not going to do 33 songs the way we normally do, or we would be here for 3 hours. What we decided to do was to create an album based on 12 songs from the record. And we gave ourselves a gift, in that the first song, Atum, is it's an instrumental and has to be on as the album opener because that's what they do. So we left it in there. So that was one of our really 13 now. So we picked 12 songs to accompany Atum. So that's what we will do. We'll probably round table it, cruise around, see what we picked. T-Bags is missing. Something happened.
Yeah, I
Did
think
he
he
leave?
got up.
I think
got up.
He left with a gentle splat.
He got up. I don't know if he had to like plug his machine in or what's going on here, but hopefully we get him back soon. I will just say I I did not do that correctly with the opener. I used that as the opener and included it as one of my 12 tracks. So I actually have 12 tracks.
Okay, that's fine. I was going to use it regardless of what you guys said. I was going to cheat because that's the way I did it. But computer plug was out, back on ASAP. That's what T-Bag said. So, and I'm sure Tony cheated because that's what he does on everything. So,
I figured that's what happened to him.
Yeah, it was spinning the death spiral, and then he disappeared. So, anyway, just to bring people up to speed, we did do the first. I think we did the entire first record, didn't we? As it came out weekly on the podcast. Or at least we got through.
I don't think we did it weekly. I think there was a couple of shows where we did 2 or 3 of them at a time.
Yeah, we had a couple of misses, but we did, I think, get through at least Steps in Time or Where Rain Must Fall, the first 8, and then we had a couple, I think, after that.
Yeah, and then we did the full second act as an album.
Yeah, and we found that listening to them individually as they came out really did a disservice to listening to the whole thing because it was supposed to be one big piece. So I kind of lost interest in that. And I even stopped listening to the podcast, which the podcast is interesting, but the songs didn't do it for me as much listening to them individually.
Yeah.
So it's been much more fun to listen to 33 songs in a row. Finding the time to listen to 33 in a row.
I gotta say, I mean, I have not loved any part of this project. Like, it's not. I mean, as a whole, there are songs that I enjoy, but I'm just like, I'm over it, and I'm glad we're done now, or we'll be done with this show. I'm over this one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I think Mr. Mundy forgets who has the ability to remove him from the screen. No, I get it.
Kick me out. That's cool. Kick me out. I'll go get some ice cream or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like that on leave with pay. Yeah.
No, I get it too because I think I would, if I were to guess, I could probably name 4 or 5 songs that I bet you liked. And then the rest,
sure.
I mean, not loved to death, but liked for sure.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I could see where you wouldn't like a lot. Because it's not necessarily your style, but
it's not even that. It's just I feel like more on this one than the other 2. There was stuff that I really just did not like at all. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just because we have already been through so many songs, and now to get to this, like, my brain was just like, oh my God, get through it. But I don't know. This one, I found songs to use for, my 12-track album, but I didn't love this one. Didn't love this third part very much.
It was my favorite.
See, I had a different experience because, well, one, I had only listened to a few songs individually, and I agree it was a tougher way to do it because there's high expectations in just one song, and you don't know what it's connected to.
Yeah.
But then I also came into it with like, oh my gosh, it's 33 tracks, and it felt like homework at first to get started with it, and then I read through the story too, and listened to all the songs several times, and actually liked it. And it took me like, I think I had 16 tracks that I needed to pare down to 12 as I was going along. So I was surprisingly pleased with it, but I also have I'm okay with, I think Pucifer has kind of conditioned me to, have some of these electronic, beeps and boops and different things like mixed in, and and some of that experimental stuff that might be a little different than the band you're used to listening to. Not that that's what you were saying, Monday. I'm just
Mhm.
in my experience, I was like, well, how am I going to get through 33 Smashing Pumpkin songs of any artist? That's a tough ask. And I think that there was some nice changes in there. So anyway, I ended up liking it, and at first I was just leaning on you guys for the story, and I think when it was very early on, you guys were both like, what is going on here with this thing?
It was odd.
And so yeah, but the story ended up being pretty cool, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's subtext to that story, to him, to his life, and I think there were some cool pieces, and I may have read into it, and you guys can call me an idiot tonight if you want. I was an English major, so I tend to do stupid stuff like this, but I think there's some connections throughout some of the songs, and I'll let you know what I found, and you guys tell me if I'm on point or not.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to hit the highlights. We're not going to do the whole album. We're going to pick our 12. We'll do it round table, and I'm going to write them down. I want to see how many songs that we match up on.
Okay, before we do that, I will say I gave myself a guideline to pick 4 songs from each part.
Okay.
So that's what I stuck to. And Tony, you missed this, but I used Atum as my first track, and I didn't use it as an intro. It's actually one of the tracks. So I don't have 13. I actually have 12. So
Gotcha. Okay. And as far as we're laying down the rules here, I pared down to roughly my 12, which I'll explain later. But and then I put it in the order that I would put it in, if story kind of aside, like how I would listen to and how I'd order the tracks. So
love it.
Yeah. So mine is not a favorite is number 1 necessarily. It's just like I feel like this would be a good opener. So
okay.
I literally just put mine in order of how they fell on the record.
Yes,
because I feel like the record, the whole project tells a story, so I didn't like mix up the story order.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's what, as a like a reader, like a comic book reader specifically, that kind of is what made sense to me. Follow the story along,
Yeah, I was only okay with breaking it up because Billy uses words that nobody knows. So unless you want to follow along with the dictionary, then you're just listening for the music.
He is too smart for his own good sometimes.
Yeah.
I am really mad at this point that I did not buy the box set. Not the autographed one is still available because it's $500, but the other one's $225. But it came with 10 extra songs on another disc, and so that would have been cool. It was a really cool package, but
we could start a GoFundMe to get you the autograph one.
Yeah, who wants to buy me? So essentially, that's $275 for 4 signatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't check to see if it was on eBay, but it'd probably be too expensive. So anyway, all right, you guys ready to roll?
Sure.
Yes.
All right, Monday. Okay, Atum is your first track. Why'd you pick it? Why'd you love it so much?
Well, I actually did like this song. Back when we talked about it, it's a good intro, and yeah, it works.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. So, T-Bags, what was your first?
I wanted to lead my custom album off with The Good and Goodbye. I thought the opening sound design kind of still set a tone, and then the guitars were fantastic. The bass, I like the lyrics, but it didn't need to be dissected. It was like one of those songs where like Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, like it doesn't have to have meaning immediately up front to you. So I thought it was a good, set the tone and catch your ear type of opener.
So that wasn't my first. I did pick that song, but that wasn't my first track. My first track was Butterfly Suite. I thought this song really captured the album because it had both. It had that kind of melodic keyboard element going on in the beginning, and then there was some guitar later, and there was a really catchy chorus to that one. And I love that line, for love and can't's freedom, believe. And I thought that set the tone for the record as well, because there's a lot of belief in 0/shiny. So
Yep.
I went with Butterfly Suite.
That's cool.
All right.
I did like how on that one I liked how like the music kind of crashed in. It was kind of a classic Smashing Pumpkins technique. So
Agreed. All right, Monday, what's your number 2?
I just want to say up front here that I bailed on this story a long time ago. So I picked these songs purely for the music.
Sure.
I'm
No,
throw that.
yeah.
I'm
That's
not
totally
going to be
cool.
talking about lyrics much here. So
that's fine.
but yeah, so my second song was actually The Good and Goodbye. So yeah, I dug that one, and like Tony said, I think it still kind of sets the tone musically.
Okay.
Cool.
Excellent. T-Bags.
I had Beyond the Veil. I actually had that starred as one of my probably favorite tracks off the record. Loved the opening guitars and the energy of the song, and a lot of that kind of computer sci-fi stuff was mixed in. So yeah, I felt like that followed up well, and that was, like I said, one of my favorite tracks.
All right. So my number 2 was Good and Goodbye. So that's our first one that we all 3 picked, and agreed. It had the typical Pumpkins guitar, and I would add too that it had that old school drum with the snare in the forefront. You know, the way he
Right.
that he gets that all pitched up and everything. So I thought that was really cool. And then this one I thought as well kind of sets the tone for, I think there's a Billy doing the Christ-like figure for him. And it has the line, "For once you've left as your father's son, you're blessed as the dove I face." And then he says, "Trade on deceivers as sound removes the thorn." There's too many words in there that connect for that not to be an illusion.
Right.
And then I think that there's some things that come later, I think, that fit into that narrative as well. So The Good and Goodbye. That's 3. We did it, fellas. Yeah, we can go home now.
Don't tempt Monday.
Oh, all right. Mr. Monday, what's your 3rd?
I went with Hooligan. It's just
Cool.
You know, a lot of these are based on it's songs that had, you know, real guitar parts in them. Like, so not everyone is based on that, but most of them are. I like, there's a lot in this project that kind of, you know, I was in and out on, but the songs with a lot of guitar, you know, just kind of, and Billy has he's able to achieve such a great guitar tone when he goes heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds so good. So but yeah, Hooligan was one.
Yeah. I didn't pick that one, but I did love that song. That was good. T-Bags.
Next up for me, which is funny because, like I said, I was building an album in my head to get away from the guitars, just for the break of listening, was Embracer, and I really liked like the synthy nature of this track, and these lyrics I loved. I'd love you to follow a star on the rise, entombed by blue, in heat of the sage. I've sent out a faith once removed. Just felt very poetic to me. So.
I love it. This wouldn't work for me without the lyrics, and I'm not even saying necessarily the lyrics that tell this story. I think sometimes these work outside of it. Billy really has a way with words and clever phrasing, and sometimes almost a silliness. I think he calls it a wink, you know, and a nod that he does.
Yeah.
But, so my 3rd song was Where Rain Must Fall, and there's the line, "Buttoned high by noons, whirling in howdy do." It's never done. Then he's hanging on my moons. It's better to live than talk. Just kind of cool melody, clever little lyrics, and this is one of the many songs that I love. The Katie Cole backup. She is really good, and I think he dictates a lot of what happens in the band, the musically and everything. But I think he actually does lean on her a little bit, and she adds a lot. And I thought she was fantastic on this one.
She's definitely been a highlight for me in a lot of the songs.
Yeah, there's one in particular. I don't know if you guys will pick it or not, but it would be cool. So, all right, Monday, number 4.
I went with Steps in Time.
Mhm.
And again, I think that was just more of a guitar driven track. I don't really, I don't have my notes for part one on me. I have they're in a different notebook. So forgive me for these first few tracks, but I'm not going to have a whole lot to say. But yeah,
That's fine.
Steps in Time.
Cool. And that was your last one off of album 1. So we'll be
Yes.
on to part 2. T-Bags, you're 4.
I had Empires, and in my notes I have Hell Yes to the opening guitars with the little rock emoji. And the energy feels like you're on a mission, and it had like a confidence, and it just was to me like something like what rock should be. It gave me the same energy that I think it was. I was receiving the energy that it was giving pretty much. So I love that track.
I have a sneaky suspicion that it will appear on all 3 of ours.
Which one?
Empires.
Empires, yeah.
So yeah, cool, Tony. I like that.
Okay.
This one kind of surprised me actually. The Gold Mask was my number 4.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's
so. What's that?
Oh,
sorry.
that surprises me too. Yeah.
Yeah. In this one, there's a line in here I really dig, and it says, "I say shame to any given morrow crossed." Like, you waste tomorrow, shame on you. I thought that was really cool because his. I was listening to him, and he was talking about how in the world, especially in the United States, we've adopted a 40-hour work week, and he said, "I decided I'm adopting an 80-hour work week." And that works for me. And that's how he gets all his stuff done. And he's already done another album, But, I mean, he lives that line. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I like the song. I mean, I didn't pick any song that I didn't like musically, but there were some that just stood out because there was some little element that took it a little further for me.
Sure. Yeah, that's very Shakespeare-esque, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he did Morrow instead of Tomorrow. Had to keep that meter right.
That's the only reason why. I'm so highbrow. Yeah.
Did you say you have a unibrow? What? I'm sorry, I cut out there for a second. All right, Mundy, what you got? Number 5.
Empires. Yeah, you called that one. Yeah, awesome guitar riffs in there. Sweet groove, vocals and backing vocals were on point on this one. So good time for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. You're number 5, T-Bags.
I had Hooligan, and same thing. Mundy, you're the one that picked that already, right? So,
yes.
But this style of music is kind of right up my alley, and I love the way the vocals were mixed, and at parts it had like an '80s Stranger Things vibe to it, and then I love the drums too. So, yeah, Hooligan was my next one.
Cool. My number 5 was Empires, and I mean, same reasons you guys love it. It was just killer track. The guitars were so good. And then I like the line, "Zero can't leave well enough alone." It's kind of like your first indication that Zero's coming back. Shiny will be out the door, so to speak. So I don't know. I like that. But and it was good live too.
Sorry, what was the title? It glitched out on me there.
Empires.
Yes, okay. Got it.
So that is our second song that we have all agreed with. So Good and Goodbye and Empire.
How many are you guessing that we're going to have all 3 on?
3.
Okay.
No, maybe 4. Because Mundy picked 4 off the last one. If you didn't say you were going to do that, Mundy, would you have picked 4 from the last record?
Yeah. I mean, probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think there were. I mean, it kind of just worked out that way. That with picking Atum as my opener and not having an extra song, so to speak. Like I would have been short one anyway. So, but yeah, it kind of worked out that way anyway.
Who's the
one of the
named Foggy?
It's one of those millions of fans that I have. I'm sure it's not my daughter. Hopefully, I hope it's my wife. We'll see. It'll mean
Yeah.
a lot more if it's her and not Sistine. So better check that. Oh, it was the wife. There we go.
Okay. Good.
Okay, so we're up to 6.
Yep.
Yep.
So I had Neophyte, which I believe comes right after Empires on Act 2. There's
Yep.
kind of a little block here for me on Act 2 that I really dug. And this one does not have like a heavy guitar riff or anything. It's all synthy, really sweet. This is one I kind of dug because it's kind of real moody. It's like, I think I said when we talked about it, just kind of just like close your eyes and get lost in it for a while. So it's kind of mellow out the mood on my album, and a little different.
Excellent.
Yeah. Right. Well, I had Where Rain Must Fall next, and partially because listening to it as a whole, the whole rock opera, it was a good break to have. And then I have that it still managed to stay soft for long enough, giggity. And then, but it brought in some fantastic electric drums and strings, and female vocals were great there. It reminded me a lot of Careen Around with Pucifer, how it just blends perfectly. So, yeah, Where Rain Must Fall. I think you had that, Steve, right?
I did.
Okay.
Now, Mundy would have had it if he didn't choose Autumn. So that would have been a third, right?
Okay.
Sure, why not?
He's a Katie fan. Okay, my my 6th was Neophyte as well. And for everything that he said, what a great little groove. Super catchy little song. It's not a song that just blows you away. It just has a great groove and brings you in. Yep. And this one, I like this whole thing of the Philistine, this person who's like anti-culture or whatever. And then we've got, Elohim, which is God, and he will be your serenade. They're going to bring the arts and God together and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I thought that was kind of a cool little element, especially when we're talking about duality of things. It fits in perfectly with the record because I think we do have that with Zero and Shiny. And so kind of cool, especially now that we know the end with what happened. I think it makes a little more sense.
Yep.
So there you have it.
Nice.
Mundy, number 7.
I went with Moss, finishing off this little 3-song block from Act 2. I love this one. Giant riff. The bass line I love on this one. It kind of carries the song throughout. And the solo, which I'm assuming is James E. Ha, is pretty awesome. And again, Katie with the backing vocals shines on this one. So it's a lot to like in this song.
Yes,
sir. I agree.
I didn't pick it, but I loved that song. I even did a TikTok over it because of the, it was supposed to be the X and I, the bad guys or whatever coming down to crack the whip, and he drummed like he was cracking a whip. I thought that touch was so cool in that song. So that would have been my 13th if I was cheating, but I'm not like T-Bags. I don't cheat. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. Well, get your bingo cards ready because I picked Neophyte.
Nice.
Yeah, so that should be all 3 of us there. And this was like my second favorite song on the whole album because it reminds like those moods that you guys were talking about, and reminds me of Depeche Mode. Pucifer keeps coming up, so you're gonna hear that a lot. There's a lot of comparisons to me in that, but this was the first one that kind of crossed over because Depeche Mode can have that kind of moody, but still not necessarily melancholy type feeling.
Yeah.
And so this was my second favorite track for sure.
They don't necessarily have melancholy, but do they have infinite sadness?
Sure sounds like they do.
Where's your drums when you need them? Yeah.
They are some mopey boys.
Sure they're no Morrissey, but hey, whatever.
Who is?
Exactly. Yeah.
We only have one of those. Woo.
So was that our 7th? Okay, so that brings me
That was
to
7. Yep.
Beguiled, which I'm going to bet that will be our 4th now. Yeah, what a great song. And I remember when this came out on TikTok and they did it, and it was the strangest video with Billy wearing the dress, and they're walking through and everybody's coming down this thing. And but it's another one that has some fantastic guitar riffs. It's heavy. It definitely takes us back to some of that old stuff. And then here again, we have some of those elements about serpents, which I think kind of feed into the theme that I think I found. And he says, return the faith. So it returned my faith to the pumpkins. I'm just kidding. It was already there. But yeah, Beguiled. That was my 7.
Okay.
Metalhead Mundy. What you got?
Hey, look, Beguiled. What do you know?
Hey!
Yeah, this was the very first song we got from this project, so I feel like it instilled me with a lot of false hope. Some big chugging guitars, and there's they use the guitars in this. I feel like that's a recurring theme. So
copy paste.
So the guitars they used in the song, interestingly, they made a lot of weird, little squeals and noises with the guitar. They were very cool. Kind of added some little accents here and there, but yeah, great song.
Agreed.
T-Bags number 8.
I had Moss. I think that was Monday. You had that, but you did not, Steve, right?
No, that would
Moss?
have been my 13.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Yes. I like this. I felt like it had a darker vibe. Guitars, drum, bass, and Billy's vocals on the verses, especially. I liked. The only thing is, go back and listen to this. I love the background female vocals as well.
Mhm.
But if she is not saying meow,
They
I don't
are.
know what she's saying.
Okay.
Okay.
No, they are meowing.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that was a big thing when it came out. They were definitely saying meow.
Okay. Which took me out of it a little bit. I won't lie. Because I don't know where that fits in, but
I guess
whatever.
where the cat's under their boots. I don't know.
I guess so. What'd you have next, Stevie?
My number 8 was Sojourner, which was a long song, and it was slow, and then it picked up and got a little bit more melodic towards the end. I thought it was just a clever little song. Pacing wise, I think it fit just perfect right there. Very thoughtful. And again, we've got the 7s I can learn, of heavens I can offer, a resurrection. So, resurrection's coming. I wonder who's coming back. It just, for me, it really fits in to this entire thing. And that's kind of what I went with on this last record. There were a lot of really good songs I liked, but the ones that I picked, I felt like really fit that message and were just cool grooving songs.
Yeah, that song I really liked. I feel like on this third part, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like on this third part we hear Jimmy's drums a lot more.
There's some, there's a little bit less synth on some of them.
Yeah,
there's even some acoustic and
yes. Yep. And this on Sojourner, I like Jimmy's drums, and the keyboard melody was pretty sweet. The keyboard solo thing, it was a little weird. I didn't love that, but good to hear Jimmy.
Was that your 9?
No, it was not. I was just talking about your song.
That's it. That's your 12. That's your original 12 now. Dang it.
No. So I'm up, right? So my number 9 was That Which Animates the Spirit. This was, the guitars were interesting on this because they used like a chorus effect on the guitars quite a bit, which almost gave those guitar parts a little bit of a Queen feel, because I feel like Brian May does that quite a bit. It did not sound like a Queen song, but it gave it a little bit of that feel. And it's just kind of a, some interesting grooving going on in this song. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good rocker, I thought.
That was actually the one I had to cut to make my album, but I loved it. And the same thing you said, Monday, as far as the riffs go and the vibe, the groove and stuff. really good. I went with Springtimes next, and I thought it was a beautiful song, but I also really liked these lines. Posey Fields, she drifts alone, the sleep of Oz and gramophones. She wound me up, so I'll ramble on to meet her savior, Wick and Tong. Guitars are pretty too, especially. And then I said the guitars are pretty too, especially the layered solos, which I don't know if you guys read this but they said that Billy had found out that his dad had passed away, and he went back into the studio and like layered. He had written 2 different guitar solos, and he just ended up layering them. I don't know if it was like an emotional decision or what, and I don't know how true that is, but I read that online.
Well, if it was written online, it's true.
Got to be true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I like that song a lot too. I didn't pick it, but what was that one? Let's see something real fast. His dad was a musician. I think he was a jazz musician.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Did you read that online?
No, Billy told me.
Okay.
Gosh, noob. Not everybody's gullible like you. Okay, so my number 9 was Pacer. And this was almost poppy in some ways. The melody was. I just thought that it had a cool beat and great rhythm. And the Katie Cole backup stuff was so good. And the song is like kind of like evaluating your life, and like what you've done, what you still want to do. Be happy if you, you didn't make it to tomorrow. Are you happy with what you've done, with where you are? And I kind of felt like, are you ready, Tony? Yes. This was the Gethsemane on the record.
Okay.
That's where I'm going with that. So before we hit to the end, sorry, these clever little shirts that we have right here were falling down on me. I'll have to put this back over there. Alrighty.
That looks almost as good as my purple one.
Yeah, almost. Gray. I don't wear gray. So, all right. So that was number 9. So we are up to number 10, Metalhead.
I went with In Lieu of Failure. This is one of the few songs that this is kind of a shitty underhanded compliment, but it sounded like an actual band playing this song. People playing instruments.
Yes. Well, how'd you follow the story?
Yeah.
I'm telling Paul, you're ripping on Sense tonight, and he's not.
So I am not, but it's I don't know. It just it was enough. It's enough out of place that you notice it, or I noticed it.
Yeah.
So, and he says alone in this song so much that it almost got a little silly, but I like the song.
He said a lot of stuff to make you not like the song to still like the song.
Yeah.
Must have been something brewing there.
I had to pick 12, so
I guess.
Again, take this for what it's worth, because I read it online, but I think it was maybe taken from the podcast, but the character actually goes up on stage. There's a cover band playing.
Yes.
And the song is this song, and he goes up on stage and sings it.
There you go.
In place of the cover band. Yeah, so it's actually a band scene. Good job, Mundy.
Yeah. There you go.
How clever is that guy? All right, you redeemed yourself.
Okay. Bingo cards at the ready. Beguiled is my next one. I believe that's all 3 of us, right?
Yep.
It is indeed.
Okay. So I won't go into much detail. I agree with most of what you guys. I agree with all of what you guys said, but I thought it had that marching beat and the heavy guitars, and then an appropriately placed synth. Sometimes it can be overused, but I felt like it all mixed really well, and it was a very, very strong track for me.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
My number 10 was Cenotaph, which was a cool mellow song. Little nice light guitar work. So should I hope to be the light you deny? Again, Tony. And then it's 2 parts of Shiny again. We get the man and the god. right? So I think we're still dealing with Shiny and Zero and who emerges in this case. And that kind of speaks to that, I think. And I just like the way it sounds. It's just a sweet, mellow, cool jam.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Metalhead, number 11.
This should be a shock to absolutely no one. I chose Harmageddon.
Mm-hmm.
It is an absolute monster riff. And Jimmy kills on this song. So good. Just real solid, straight up groove, like nothing fancy, but it just sounds really great.
Yeah. When I heard that one, I honestly thought this is Mundy's right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
And it is a great jam.
And coming out of Cenotaph, I mean, it just immediately grabs your attention. So, because Cenotaph was all acoustic and, you know, kind of ethereal keyboards and little light drum programming. And then, boom, this riff just hits you over the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. The placement was perfecto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great song.
T-Bags. Up next for me, I had In Lieu of Failure, and I liked it for the same reasons as Mundy too, in the sense that it felt like an old school Smashing Pumpkins song.
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't say it that way, but it know, just like it was presented like a band from the '90s. Like it wasn't underproduced because it was clean, but it felt like something a band would do, and
almost a throwback for them.
Yeah, and then before I read that part of the story that it was actually a band playing, that just reinforced it when it was like, you know, in the whole process of the story that a cover band would be playing something, you know, from years back. So that kind of just reinforced it, like I said. Stevie D.
All right. My next one was Intergalactic, not planetary. Intergalactic, which was a two-part song from two points of view, and it was very different one to the other. Thematically, the voice of God is silence found, lift the cross, I'm falling down, and then the last one, they wouldn't save an honest Savior's soul. I mean, that couldn't knock you over the head anymore. But the thing that just absolutely sealed it for me was halfway through, we get Jimmy and these cool-ass tribal drums that just ride us out. And at the end, it's all drum solo to close the song out. That was freaking incredible. I absolutely love that one.
Yeah, I did not pick that, but the drumming at the end, it was like frantic, which was awesome. And then the lines that I liked were the voice of God is silence found, the breath of life is borrowed toil. I thought that was cool. It was a great track.
Yeah. All right, boys. Album closers. What do we have?
Intergalactic was my closer. Mostly because of Jimmy. The song, like, I think is way too long. There could have been a lot of stuff cut out of there and it still would have worked. But yeah, I mean, Jimmy just goes absolutely nuts on this song and I love it. And it sounds, after not hearing him on so much of this album, it was just like kind of a breath of fresh air to, I mean, finish out my album. Obviously, didn't finish out the album, the project, but yeah, I really enjoyed Jimmy on this one.
Hey, Mundy, I'm just curious. Did you happen to put this together as a playlist and listen and see what you thought?
No.
I wonder if you would listen through and now that like you got all the hard stuff in there, everything, if you'd be like, damn, that's not a bad album.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that was the point, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Songs that we enjoyed and we want to hear again and kind of trim this monster 33 song epic down to like, for lack of a better term, I guess the greatest hits or our greatest hits, you know?
Sure. All right, T-Bags, how you closing it?
Okay, so bear with me here. This is where I cheated.
He did a medley.
There it is.
It's a 28-song medley.
No, it was popular in the 90s, especially, to have that track that just played silence for a while and then another one came on, or you had a hidden track somewhere. So since I could only get it down to 13, and I really wanted a certain song to be my closer, I have it going with Harmageddon, for the heavy guitars, just the awesomeness of the song, and it almost had like a punk cadence to it, in my opinion. And then I wanted that to go into silence for a little bit, and then end the whole thing with Cenotaph. I felt that was like very poetic, a nice kind of soft landing for the end of an album. And then I really liked the opening acoustic guitar. I feel like that would come off nicely of that silence after hearing Armageddon.
I can take that.
Yeah, I know when you're talking about the ending of a CD is what it would have been.
Yes.
Maybe a cassette, but CDs I think allowed for that a lot more. But yeah, the song ends and you're like late at night, you're in your room, you got the lights off, you got your music playing, and the song ends and you kind of drift off, and then bam, another, and you're like, whoa, there's more music. Oh my God, what happened?
Yes.
So that happened to me more than once.
See?
But yeah, I think that's a good pairing to do that, because you're
Okay.
kind of listening to that heaviness and it goes out and then it kind of fades back in with Cenotaph and can kind of, send you off.
As long as you guys accept it, then I feel good.
Well, no, I'm taking Autumn back, and now you've got 12 again.
All right. Steve, what did you end up with for your last track?
I finished with Spellbinding because I felt like that one had a vintage Pumpkins melody chorus that felt really good.
Yeah, that song, I feel like it started off a little rough for me, but then it turned into a pretty decent jam.
Yeah, and if we have Zero then taking off to go get June, who is probably dead and moved on to some other life form, whatever, it seems triumphant to me. Like that would be the moment where Zero's back, baby, and he's going to get her, and that to me ends a little bit better than Of Wings. Thematically, Of Wings finishes it better with repeating Lamb of God over and over. And then one thing I wanted to mention, in Of Wings, he says Clementine. Okay. And if you go back to Hooray, which is an odd amusement park type song, it says Clementina, my Clementine, or whatever. Again, so I think that set up the duality of that character by saying that two different ways. So you get that two different times. Once there to when we start going, the next song, Gold Mask, talks about being born anew. And then we finish with Lamb of God, Clementine. I thought that was kind of like the connecting tissue.
Okay.
I didn't catch that.
I got it. Before we bounce out of this topic and this whole thing, I really am interested to hear your true opinions of this song, Of Wings. You guys talk about it and then I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear it.
Mine was that it was just a mediocre closer. Like I do feel like Spellbinding was better, especially how it drifted off.
Agree.
And as much as I liked the Lamb of God stuff and everything in there, it didn't tie into any emotion for me. It didn't really do much for me, even closure on the story type thing. So I would rate this one of the lower tracks on the whole thing.
Okay.
Same.
That's all you got?
I did musically. I didn't like it. I mean,
yeah,
I get the point. It does the job, but it is not musically a good song for me.
Yeah.
So the first time that I heard this song, it was playing and I'm listening. And I was just like, seriously? Like I felt like almost like I was being punked. Like I started looking for hidden cameras. I'm like, is this even real? Is this a real song on a Smashing Pumpkins album? It's so ridiculous and bad. I couldn't even believe it.
When I saw the title, I had high hopes. I'm like,
I mean,
do too.
yeah, that's a
of
great
wings.
title.
Oh yeah, like transcendence.
Sure.
And saying the word does not make it transcendent in my mind. Musically, you need to make me feel transcendent. And I'm at the point here in the album. I'm like, he's going to get June. That's June from Mayonnaise, my favorite song ever by Smashing Pumpkins. Come on, baby. And then
Right.
I know. So
Yeah.
That was a rough one. Oof.
When I was asking you questions about this project in text, you said something about title track too. Were we supposed to pick one of our 12 to be a title track, or
no, I was saying that the title track was one of our count. It was a
It's
given.
supposed
You
to be
didn't have
the
to count
intro.
that. Yeah.
it was the free space on the bingo card? Gotcha.
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
I misunderstood that, and I just used that as my first track.
It's okay, Monday. I'm all about cheating. Go for it.
I know.
Well, what's kind of cool about this is while you didn't really like it, you did find some you liked, but we still, all of us, with that many songs to choose from, and each of us picking 12, we only came up with 4 of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And it could have been more because Harmageddon was on the cusp and Moss was on the cusp for me too. So,
yeah.
And
all right. One thing I will say is 33 songs from any artist is hard to imagine, consuming. But I think it was a strong effort. I really did end up liking it anyway. But even if this would have fell short for me, like, you got to give some respect that this was thought out. It was executed. It was a big undertaking and an art project, Yeah. So kudos to them.
And before it came out, he's got another one written and recorded.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Smashing Pumpkins has never been one of my favorite bands. I love certain songs, but I don't go super deep on them. So this was a big ask of me, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yes, 33 songs from even a band that I love. There would have to be some clunkers in there. Be like, do we really need that one? That kind of thing. So
that's true.
So, Monday.
Yes.
You want to score this thing?
Are we doing? So you want my score for like the whole thing?
Yeah. Your score? Will you listen again? The typical we do.
So as a 33 song, like rock opera, I guess we're calling this ?
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's way too much, but there are songs that I really like. It's, I would have to probably land at a 2.5 overall.
Okay. Very good. T-Bags.
I can't separate the fact that it was all this effort was put into it as well, and it is like that there's a story behind it, that there's all the stuff we just kind of talked about. So it's already going to like hit a certain mark there for that. And then I ended up liking a lot of the songs. I found myself excited about some of the songs that sounded like old Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, we talk about you don't want every artist to recreate who they were.
Yes.
But there was enough difference of things. There was some new stuff that I liked, but it was pleasing as a fan. And I'm probably in between. Steve's a super fan and Jeremy's kind of a casual fan. I'm kind of in between. But given all of those things combined, I would have to give it like a 4.25.
Wow.
And I'm going to listen to a lot of it again. I mean, I'm going to listen to at least 15 of these songs again. So that's saying something.
I'm actually going to listen to your playlist. I'm going to build that playlist and listen to it and see how it goes.
Yeah, I might have to
on
do
Spotify.
that.
So
I might have to do that.
if either of you are on Spotify, it's public. It's called My Atum.
Monday is I'm not, but you sent the picture, so I can just throw it into mine.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll get it.
I didn't touch on re-listening or anything like that, and I mean, I don't think I will ever listen to this as an entire project ever again.
Yeah.
But I might revisit some of those riffs because there's some pretty monster stuff on there.
Yeah, there's some real bangers. You know what would be a really cool thought, and this is not how he thinks, so this will not happen. But if Zero returned, right? And he goes to get June.
Mhm.
What if the next album was a return to Siamese Dream? Can I dream a little bit? I
never
know
know.
we don't want to retread, but damn, that would be amazing.
Well, I
We
mean,
need-
he's tied older albums into this whole thing. You never know.
I feel like an artist can't really win with that though. Like
can't.
no matter how much you want it, once you hear it, it's not the same.
No, I guess
Yeah.
just
'Cause
bring
they-
us just one rockin' album.
Yeah,
No connective tissue, just 12 great songs.
Yeah, any
Right,
artist
yeah.
like their album, what their people consider their classic or their best. I mean, they're so far removed from that, in age and experience and songwriting and
Mhm.
production and everything. It's just never going to be the same.
You know what, though? A lot
Yeah,
of the heavy
true.
songs on this one were not far off from Melancholy. I mean, there
I
were
agree.
a lot of similarities to these songs, the heavy
Yeah.
ones that fell on that record, too. And there
Yeah.
were some strange keyboard driven, like Cupid DeLocke and some of those. So even back in 1995, there were elements of this record on there. So this isn't like they just suddenly pulled a keyboard out. There were some strange undertakings going on.
I think
Melancholy.
I think you can say that a lot about most artists, though. I mean, there's Metallica is always a benchmark on this podcast because people love them, they hate them, and whatever albums they love, albums they revile. But I mean, the bones I feel like is there in most of their work. It's not, they change, but they are who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you can apply that to most artists that have longevity.
I agree.
Yeah.
Except for you two, they've got new material coming out. I don't believe The Edge when he says it's going to be great. They haven't been great for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to have a track record of at least putting out something great every once in a while. It's been a long time for that for sure. But
Indeed, it has.
yeah,
96, probably. No. I mean 86. No, actually, the one Rattle and Hum came after that, right?
I would go after that. I really liked Atum, baby.
That was it. That was the last one that came out. I think when I was a freshman or sophomore.
What was the zoo? Was it Zooropa or Zoo?
Yeah,
that one was hit or
rails.
miss, and after that, I was out.
Yeah, that's the one.
I
That
think
did it for me.
Whatever their new album is, I think they should go back to the roots of forcing it onto iPhones and see what happens.
Can't get it off of there, but it's free. It's space. Yeah, back then we didn't have as much space as we do now on phones. So
that's right. Yeah, 16 gigs.
I took 5 pictures this fall. Okay, so my score is a 4.75. Only knocked it down because I didn't like the ending. It really grew on me as I went, and I have listened a couple times all the way through, and it's a gem. I am going to listen again, but I'm super excited to listen to put these into playlists and listen and see what it sounds like. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
let me know what you think about my order.
Yeah. Oh, I will for sure. And Monday, I'm just going to, when I'm ready to go out in the yard and work, I'm going to hit all these heavy bangers that you put on there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
I'm good for something.
Excellent. Go ahead and remind us, what is next week, Monday?
It is Kelsey Carter and the Heroines, and their new album comes out May 12th, and I have already forgotten the title because I did not write it down. But I know the cover is like red, and it's got an ashtray on it with a smoking cigarette or something. But yeah, I saw them live. They were great. So kind of want to check out their new album.
All right. So we are going to check that out next week. And look at this good news, guys. I got a little text there from Corey Taylor.
New song coming.
Yeah, I signed up for it. So what?
There you go.
It really was meant for me. So yeah, May 16th.
Yeah.
Another new song out. The only other guy who works about as hard as Billy.
No kidding.
We'll see how that goes. So, any last thing for the good of the cause?
I'm tapped out.
I have to say, this is totally off music topic, but had a chance yesterday to film Tony Kanaan, the IndyCar driver.
Oh yeah,
for a commercial, and he was so funny and so cool, and you just don't know what to expect when you get any sort of celebrity. And I don't know. Can't say enough. Now it's like, and I think it's his last try at the Indy 500. So he's definitely got a fan rooting for him over here now.
Yeah,
Very
I like
cool.
it when you meet famous people and they're cool.
And they
Down
don't
to earth.
suck.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't suck.
I mean, the guy was actually like, "How many takes you want to do? Do you want to do it this way? Do you want?" It was like, and he gave us extra time and everything. So
Nice.
awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and thanks to the Kokomo Lantern for hosting us this evening live on Facebook. And thanks to everyone who has contributed to my GoFundMe for the $500 signed box set. I'll expect that at the door shortly from Madame Zuzu's. That's you need to know where to get it. It's Madame Zuzu. Tea shop. It's Billy's wife, and she runs the whole shebang. So
Nice.
there you go. All right. We will be back next week with more shenanigans. And I think next week we will have a challenge as well. It was issued by Mr. T-Bags a couple weeks ago. We're going to get back to that. So look for that on the next show. Thanks for joining us. You can find this show on Monday Go.
I hate when you put me on the spot. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, SoundCloud. What I miss? YouTube. Well, I mean,
Duh.
should be watching us on YouTube. Yeah, we go live on YouTube and the Kokomo Lantern Facebook page.
Yep. So get your podcatcher tomorrow and check us out. And until next week, we will see you then. Bye now.